Boom. And it's unfiltered, so don't hold back, my man.
All right. Let's go.
Let me just set this up.
I like your setup, too. Everything you're doing over there on the StreamYard is fucking badass.
Appreciate it, man. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Jerezy. I'm here with the chef, Kyle, from the Sundays to Secret Society. And, we're here on the sports segment of the cave. So this is where we get to talk about and compartmentalize all our sports talk. And I don't really know football. I know basketball a little bit. So, what I'm going to talk about? I'm talking about MMA, boxing, combat sports. Brought the chef with me over here to break down Israel Adesanya versus Sean Strickland. Crazy fight. I thought initially that the press conference was going to be the most entertaining part of this fight, but god damn, I was surprised, man. What did you think of this prior to the fight happening, and what do you think of it after?
I mean, prior was all right. I kind of did enjoy. I enjoyed it a little bit. I've seen more hyped up press conferences prior to the fight. But I will say afterwards, on behalf of Israel Adesanya, it was pretty shitty. I think he sat down for just a few moments and then up and bounced. But that part didn't. What bothered me, man, was the after. So he posted something.
You're talking about the post conference?
Yeah, post conference. Yeah. But he did something. Yeah. So the pre conference was whatever. I did catch a little glimpse of that. Again, pre fight, but after the post conference, after the fights had happened, it appeared that Izzy didn't really have much to say. I think he sat down for all of maybe a minute or two, from what I caught, and then he kind of up and bounced. But then he posted some stuff on Instagram.
Yeah.
That was a little odd to me. And he had mentioned that, he's going to take time to kind of soak everything in. He's going to spend time with his family. He's going to spend time with his, I don't think he said kids, but I think he said family a few times.
His
but then
dog?
He said, dude, bro. And then he said something about Lucifus.
What?
So I'm like, who the fuck is obviously Lucifer kind of sounds like, So I looked it up. I looked up Lucifus, and apparently this is an anime.
Okay.
However,
he's into anime, so that makes sense.
Very into anime. But the theme of this whole show is that the devils are going to come, not take over the world, but they're going to come down and save the world. And that's where I lost that dude. Well, I didn't lose him there, actually. The whole thing with the dog is where I lost him. That was it for me. I was the biggest dude. It was a sad week for me, brother. It was a sad week. I was the biggest Izzy fan before he was even a fucking champion. I love this dude.
Yeah.
And when I started finding this stuff out, man, I am heartbroken. But it is what it is.
That's heavy stuff, man. And you know what? He also did bring attention to the monster symbol, so we could get into that. And it's appropriate that I have you on for this segment so we could get into that on this sports talk as well, because sometimes it coexists. Sometimes the sports and the conspiracy stuff, you can't get away from it. You know what I mean?
I agree 100%.
And I think I remember Adesanya mentioning something about the Epstein fight logs too, right?
Oh.
I think there was an interview he mentioned something about raising attention towards human trafficking or child trafficking. So
yes, he did. And King Bao as well. Bauman, he's very big on that. He's got the whole Jimmy Kimmel challenge and whatnot. Oh, let's go.
Yeah. Crazy, man. I don't think they want him to be champion, bro. That guy he just has to keep winning. I know he's going to talk his shit, King Bo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, King Bo, he does. But they don't want him to keep winning. I don't know if you saw, but he just fought...
Bare Knuckle?
Friday, on George Masvidal's Game Bread promotion. Mm-hmm. I was unable to see the fight, but I did know that he won. I think he won in like the first few rounds, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Wow. You know what weight he fights in?
I do not know, King. No, I do not know his weight class.
Okay. Yeah, I know. What's his face? Fabricio Verdum and JDS was there too, right? They were there. I think they headlined.
Yes, for the Game Bread.
Right.
Yeah.
But going back to this fight, like I said, respect to Izzy for bringing attention to all those subjects, but he is cringe. You know, I like the anime references and all that. You know, the walkout stuff is all cool, but it turns it up a little too much for me. You know, sometimes it gets a little nerdy and too overboard for me. So this press conference as well, I know a lot of people felt the same way. They thought the idea of the press conference was better than the actual press conference. Sean Strickland was he didn't really have anything to go off of. I was surprised that the fans were more for Sean Strickland than they were for Izzy.
Yeah.
And then it's funny because we dropped a lot of F-bombs on our podcast when we had you on. Yeah, a lot of F-bombs on this UFC show too. What a night, man. What a crazy night. I remember everyone was asked about what they thought was going to happen in this fight. I remember Justin Gaethje specifically. He said, you know, I think Izzy's going to win in any round he wants, but the crazy thing about this sport is anything can happen. And you know what? I used to think that it was by knockout that anything can happen, and it almost happened in the first round. But who knew that Sean Strickland would put a masterclass on the Stylebender?
Dude, he literally just punked. Like, if you've seen, but for those who didn't watch the match, I mean, from the starting gate, right? The first minute out of the 25 minutes, Sean was just pushing. Izzy was stuck to the cage the entire time. Now, with that being said, from what I've seen on the previous Izzy fights, is that he doesn't mind being up against the cage. It's almost like, because when he lost to Alex Pereira, he was up against the cage. But then when he beat Alex, it was up against the cage. He was up against the cage. He kind of like does his little bob and weave, and boom, it was one shot. But he barely threw. Like, he didn't throw a whole lot compared to what he normally does. So I don't know if he was like off of his game that day. But, dude, I never would have thought that Sean would have pulled this off. I wouldn't. I think the odds when I was watching, he was like a plus 600. And I know he made out, and a lot of other people made out very, very, very well that bet on Sean. It was just mind blowing, man. And I liked Sean prior, and I also, again, liked Izzy, but like after some weird, all the stuff that kind of happened, man, with Izzy recently with the dog and stuff. Like, there's certain things I can't support. I don't condone. But anyhow, back to Sean, dude. He's a fucking beast. I think why I know a lot of people may have not like wanted him to win at the time because Izzy was a champ, but Sean is he's like an American, dude. He's a real patriot. And what I believe it was the conference where he was talking about that he wasn't a huge fan of Australia due to the fact of their free speech and the lack thereof. And that's something that I completely support, as far as like we should have the right to say what we want when we want. You know what I mean? That is protected by the Constitution. And yeah, so I kind of went on a little bit, but I'll go back. Yeah, Sean, dude, he's a beast, man. He's a patriot, right? Which I appreciate. Right. He's standing for the American people. And one thing in the conference that he was talking about was that, like, he was it wasn't that he like hates all the Australians, but it was more so like he doesn't agree with the fact that they ended up putting away a pregnant woman because she was trying to gather a group of people. I believe it was an anti-mask rally, or no, it was an anti-lockdown rally.
Mm-hmm.
So she wanted, not even a rally, she wanted to gather a bunch of people to get together, and the Australian police, what have you, rolled up and ended up arresting her while she was pregnant. Were you able to catch that video?
I don't think I saw that, but now that you bring that up, there were a lot of crazy shit that was going on in Australia around that time. So bringing it back, Sean Strickland saying that he's using himself as a platform for them to, you know, represent them. Now it's all kind of full circle. It's hitting a little different now. You know what I mean? Wow, that's crazy.
I think it takes more people like that, dude. I think that's the problem. And when I hear, for me personally, like when I hear these fighters like at the end of their fight and when they have DC or Joe Rogan there, you know, giving them their post-fight interview in the middle of the octagon, and they give a little, you know, they give a shout out to God, or they give a shout out to bringing awareness of things. I know Max Holloway, you know, he kind of brought awareness to all the stuff that was going on in Maui.
Right.
I mean, you have this platform and you only have, like, granted, people are still going to follow you on Instagram. They're still going to, you know, but when you're on a pay-per-view or it's fight night and you have just that, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds to a minute to speak, I think the words that you speak are very, very, very crucial.
Mm-hmm.
And should be used very wisely. And there are some fighters, and Sean Strickland, I will say, is one of those that gets a very important message across in that short amount of time that they have, where literally all eyes are on them.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what? A lot of people talk a lot of shit on Dana White. They have a lot of criticism towards him. But one thing I do respect is the fact that, at least to me, it appears that he doesn't censor his fighters. You know what I mean? A lot, like we said, a lot of F-bombs are dropped post-fight in the interview. Sean Strickland is a PR nightmare as far as, you know, your company goes. He's very unpredictable, unhinged, you know. Now he's your champion. So we've had some wrestlers on the podcast before, and we talked about how sometimes being a champion can be limiting because you're the main guy of the company now, you know what I mean? You're the main mascot, you're the main name. So you pretty much have to represent the company and you're pretty much the metric, and you set the bar.
That's well said. That's something I didn't really think about. Like, now that he's a champion and he's got that belt, as far as the middleweight class goes, all eyes are on you, dude.
Right. But like, the Dana White doesn't, you know, I feel like there's some champions that he doesn't like. I feel like him and Francis Ngannou, they didn't really have the best relationship as far as champion and you know, president of the company goes. But he lets them be who they are. You know what I mean? He lets them say what they want, and that's one thing I do respect. And I feel like Dana White took a hard stand on that after what happened in 2020. So I do respect that about him.
I do too. And to go back to that point, if you remember, it was DDP's Duplessis' last fight.
You're right.
I'm trying to remember who he fought. I'm drawing a blank, but he won.
Robert Whittaker.
It was Whittaker, and then Izzy came in the ring, and Izzy was dropping them N-bombs, dude, like they were going out of style. And I remember hearing later where people were at the post conference, they were asking Dana White, and Dana White says, "So fucking what?" Like, I'm not saying I agree with that. Granted, he's able to say that, but at the same time, like, I think it was cool that it's freedom of speech, man. And
right.
if I let my feelings get involved, or if Dana lets his feelings get involved, or the reporters get involved, and it's like, okay, so in the UFC, listen, these are the words you're not allowed to say. That's just where it starts. And then you have other little fucking snowflake crybaby pussies that are like, oh my God, this offends me too. And next thing you know, you can't say shit. So I do respect that. And I think we're definitely on the same page as far as that goes, which was another blessing of the whole pandemic bullshit is that it did open people's eyes, some people's eyes, and I think in the reference of the UFC, as far as Dana White goes, being the president, right, running the show, I think it definitely benefited. It benefited us as listeners, us as fans, and I think it benefited the fighters and the athletes that step into that octagon every single week.
Right. Man, that picture on the right when he was screaming at him towards the end of the 5th round, how epic, right? Like, I was watching that fight on mute, and sometimes I like watching fights on mute just because I can watch it objectively without the commentary or without the crowd, you know? Something I kind of developed because I'm a Mayweather fan, and when I watch Mayweather fights, usually the people I'm watching it with are rooting against Mayweather. So shots that aren't landing, everyone's like, whoa, you know what I mean? It disrupts my experience as a Mayweather fan, you know? And then, you know, people end up being surprised because at the end of the decision, they end up losing. So I like to watch fights sometimes on mute just to kind of see who's really winning, you know? And I was watching this fight on mute, and the whole time it looked like Israel Adesanya was the one trying to find space in there, you know, trying to get comfortable in there, trying to get his rhythm going in there. And Sean Strickland gave him no room to breathe, knocked him down in the first round, landed the more significant shots. And you'd think that as a boxer that the leg kicks would be really effective, you know, the calf kicks. But I don't know if Izzy kicks like a bitch, which I don't think he does. Or Sean Strickland just has I don't give a fuck calves. You know what I mean? He just ran through that shit.
I mean, that could go either way, and I was kind of thinking the same thing. Yeah, dude. He's a monster. From what I heard, dude, like he trains like an insane amount. Like instead of like when doing like sparring sessions, instead of doing like 25 minutes, this dude's doing like 45 minutes. So the cardio and the mental aspect of being in there, I could be wrong. I think this is his very first fight ever doing 25 minutes. I think this is his first championship fight.
Oh, wow.
So only to my knowledge, only championship fights go 5 rounds for 5 minutes apiece.
Mm-hmm.
I was blown away, man. And you can see, I mean, you look at his face in the picture here on the right, like he's like, come on, like it's almost like he wanted like more of a fight.
Yeah, right.
From Izzy.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because the big question, and we'll talk about that right now, is what do you think happened? Was it Izzy really underestimated Sean Strickland and didn't prepare for him? Or was Sean Strickland's style really overlooked? You know, the Philly shell in MMA, not really squared stance. He's not really in the ideal stance to check kicks. That's why I said I thought the calf kicks would be a little more effective. But I do get that him pressing Izzy and cutting off the distance kind of negated Izzy's kicking game, you know, and forced it into a more boxing match. And it's nuts because Jake Paul is exposing it. A lot of MMA fighters, as good as they look with their hands, they're not the best boxers. And stance for stance, Sean Strickland has the more boxer stance compared to Izzy, and looked like the better boxer too. So, what do you think happened with that fight? Why do you think it fell apart for Izzy?
Man, I don't even want to give any excuses for Izzy, dude. I'm being extremely biased right now, as I kind of briefly touched on before. But what I think possibly happened, to be completely real, is I think after round one, the last like 35 seconds of round one, Sean gave it to him, dude. And I think if that had gone, if that would have been like a 5 minute and 30-second round, I think it would have ended up getting stopped. He fucking got Izzy, dude. Went hard once. Like, it was a nice, good shot.
Yep.
And it's funny because you had mentioned about putting how you like to mute and you like to listen sometimes on muted, so you're not like, there's no like bias and there's no other things going on. But Lauren Desenko, I believe, is how you pronounce her last name, but she mentioned something like, yeah, like, you know, from what I've heard and what people are saying, like, his hits aren't that hard. They're not that strong. And I beg to differ.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he caught Izzy with a good one. I think it fucking shook Izzy. And I don't think Izzy knew what to do. And I also think Izzy's team didn't know what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
Because my thought process on this, there's a friend of mine that I work with, real quick, but he dishwashes at the place I work. Well, his dad was a UFC fighter and now fights for Bellator.
Oh wow!
And he knows personally Sean Strickland.
Oh,
and I
crazy.
asked him last week. I was like, "So who do you got, dude?" He goes, "I gotta go with Sean." And I'm like, "Bro, there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way." And he was like, "Bro, listen, dude. If he gets Izzy to the ground, that's a wrap." And I'm like, "Okay." I can't even go back and look at any in my mental memory here, my mental pictures. I can't remember a fight where Sean Strickland like dominated on the ground.
Right.
From my knowledge, it's all up top. So I'm like, that doesn't even make any sense. Little did I know, this dude's good with some hands. But again, going back to what you said, I think he rocked Izzy the end of round one, and I think it shook him. And I don't know if it hurt like really fucking bad or if he knocked that hamster off the hamster in Izzy's head, knocked it off the wheel. I don't know. And I really don't even want to go down like the scripted route because I refuse to believe that the UFC, whether it's true or not, I refuse to believe it because that's my blue pill, and I'm gonna blue pill that bitch all day long. I enjoy it so much. Like I don't even want to know. Like I'm down for any other rabbit hole, bro. But don't tell me that my fucking UFC is scripted. And I honestly, like I said, I honestly don't think it is, dude. Like you're beating the tar out of each other in there, you know.
I would say some close decisions maybe are skewed towards who they want to be champion.
Decisions, I agree with decisions.
But what I love about this sport is, you know, if you and I were fighting and Dana has everything on me and you're like, fuck that, and you knock me out, there's no denying that. You know what I mean?
So it's
you catch me in a choke, you know, there's no denying that. So
and vice versa. Not that I agree with you there. Is I don't think you're gonna sway. You can't sway a knockout, bro. Like I don't know many dudes at least that are gonna be like, listen, you can knock my fucking light, and I'm not gonna fight. Like you can knock my fucking lights out. Round 3, just fucking knock me out. Because you can tell, dude, when these dudes are laying there and they're stiff as a board, dude, they look like a fucking dead animal, like in rigor mortis.
Right. Literally.
Unless they're amazing actors, man, and it's hard to say, but. Man, hats off to Sean. Super, super happy for him.
Mm-hmm.
I think he deserves it, and we'll see. Maybe there'll be that rematch, and I mean they did the same thing for when Izzy and Alex went at it, you know. And I don't know if that was because there was a lot of hype prior to that because Izzy had lost to him already a few times,
right?
Well, at least back in the kickboxing game. But dude. It was a banger, man. When Sean started on the right hand side, when he threw his hands down and let his guard down, was like, "Let's go!" That's when I was yelling, bro. I was like, "Let's go!" Like, oh, it was so emotional, man. So emotional.
I do remember Sean Strickland saying that he would like to win a fight on the ground because he wanted to showcase his wrestling skills, but. I also remember Izzy saying that he wanted a submission this fight, right? Because that's how much he underestimated Sean Strickland. He's like, I want to do whatever I want with him. I want to take him down, probably submit him.
I forget.
Honestly, I thought that's how it was going to go. I said Izzy by whatever he wants. So
it was in one of the pre-fight interviews. I forgot the gal's name, the little shorter gal with like the either black or dark brown hair. She had mentioned something to Izzy, and Izzy was like, she said something about a submission, and Izzy like didn't say yes, but he said yes without saying yes, and he's like, "You'll see." And so I'm like, oh, dude, like if I was a betting man at that point, I would be like, dude, I'm going to throw like round 2 or 3 submission via Israel Adesanya, because I know because he hasn't like done a whole that I know of. He hasn't had like any
right
submissions to my knowledge, so I know the odds on that would have been great.
But that would have solidified the style bender name too, to have a submission under your belt, right? I'm so glad I didn't bet that fight. I mean, bet that night, bro, because geez, that Sean Strickland line would have been dope to see. You know what I mean?
Dude, plus 600, and then I think it might have started off as plus 500. I don't remember, but it was up there.
Got the homie. Who would you rather see fight for the belt instead of Izzy? We'll get to that in a little bit. I wanted to talk about what I thought happened that fight. I honestly thought, let me skip the slide. I thought this got to Izzy, man. I thought this got to Izzy, bro. Look, I was talking, like I was talking to my friend Cyril, who just popped in on the chat. Imagine this, bro. Imagine this, Chef. You're going to a fight that you didn't really take seriously, right?
Yep.
And then some personal shit came out about you and your dog, and you have your dog tatted on you. And obviously me, the biggest shit talker, is your opponent, and I'm gonna bring that up during the press conference at your hometown, bro. And then now the crowd's up against you. That would fuck with you mentally. And then on top of that, you add that you got knocked down in the first round, you know? I think all that combined, and let's be honest, bro, that little 135er or 125er, he owned Izzy too in the press conference when he was like, what you gonna do? Sit down. I think all that combined was fucking with Izzy. Izzy's kind of a nerd, you know? Sean Strickland looks like that one guy in high school that he's not really cool with everyone, but he doesn't give a fuck being a loner. Then that's kind of what makes him cool, being independent like that, you know what I mean? So it doesn't matter what kind of like peer pressure you have against him, he's immune to that shit. So I think Izzy as a nerd kind of felt like these bullying vibes from the crowd and Sean Strickland, and it played out in the ring as far as the body language goes. I remember the 5th round when Sean Strickland was really yelling at him, Izzy was just kind of smirking, and I'm like, kind of, you got me, you know what I mean? And that's weird seeing Izzy when you know, this whole fight, they were talking about the Kevin Gastelum fight. And I remember that Kevin Gastelum fight, he was talking about how he was willing to die in there. But now he's like fighting like a little female dog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a female dog, not the male dog that you see over here on the right. That to me was just so, and I agree with you. I think that's a good point. God, in my brain, I go so like deep into it. I seen Izzy a couple months ago in a swimming pool with Kim Kardashian, and I was like, R.I.P. Israel Adesanya.
Oh wow, he's in it.
Like, if you're fucking with shit, and again, this is like my conspiratorial brain here. Like, if you're fucking with the Kardashian, bro, you've sold your soul, dude. You're toast, homie. And then like this shit with the dog, and then the monster logo, and then his quote there, and then the after fight Instagram thing he did, and I'm just like, bro, I can't do all this like Lucifer Satan shit, dude. It's just not for me. It's not me, dude. It's not me, and I believe very heavily in that like that's not the right path. And I'm not trying to judge. Like I said, this dude was my favorite fighter up until like 3 days ago, and it was so before crazy. It was like right before he lost, and I
fucking hopped off that train on a good time,
dude.
Bro.
And
how'd you know?
Like, dude, keep your hands off of animals, bro. Rule number 2. Rule number 1, don't fuck with our kids. That's all I ask. I don't give a shit if you're into whatever it is you're into, man. I really don't care. If you're a consenting adult, keep that shit behind closed doors. Or, you know, go celebrate. Like, I don't care about that. You're not affecting me. But, like, when you're doing shit to and I also, listen, let me put this into consideration, too. Like, maybe in Africa or Australia or wherever, maybe like this shit here, you know, the picture with him and his dog, maybe that is kind of funny, maybe, and maybe it's just not like something that's funny to me, or maybe
like a cultural thing.
Yeah, maybe it's a cultural thing. Like, it's kind of funny. Like, it wasn't like super. When I first heard about it, I'm like, oh, bro, I heard something way worse. Like, I heard he was like going to town. Like,
yeah.
And then I seen this. I'm like, that was like, it wasn't that bad. But at the same time, like for me and my beliefs, I'm like, yeah, no. So I was pretty happy to see. Sean Strickland, and Sean Strickland now will probably be. I don't know if they're going to change the logo on UFC 5 that comes out next month.
Hey, that curse is real, man. that UFC cover curse is real. It's nuts. I'll try to bring up a picture towards the end of these slides, and we'll talk about that. But
Okay.
Yeah. Let's pray for Alex Volkanovski, man.
Yes, sir.
Jeez, he's on that cover too. But somehow, Alex Pereira won that night. You know, I say that a lot of people are like, "What?" Alex Pereira and Sean Strickland ended up becoming training partners towards the end of this, right? Or towards, headed towards this training camp and headed towards this fight. So I know they had a fight previously. And I was talking to my friend Cyril about how easily Alex Pereira beat Sean Strickland. Alex Pereira might as well have been fucking hungover fighting Sean Strickland, dude. That guy had his no guard up, you know, was throwing lackadaisical and just fucking threw a nuclear hook. And
I remember that.
You know, I get, and you know, we were talking about the championship picture. I get the immediate rematch with Izzy and Alex, but you just got an immediate rematch and you didn't get knocked out on some lucky shit. You got dominated for, I would say, 4.5 rounds, maybe, you know?
Yeah.
So, would you give him the immediate rematch? Does he get the immediate rematch? What do you think? I think
DDP.
You think DDP gets it?
Yep, I think DDP gets it. Although I would have much rather have seen DDP and Israel just because of the shit talking and all that stuff that happened. Mm-hmm. But I think he's going to give it to DDP. But at the end of the day, it boils down to what Dana White wants to do. But I think DDP should be the next one. If not like an immediate rematch, which I would love to see that as well. Mm-hmm. But if not that, I think DDP should be the next one to hop in. And I'm not a huge DDP fan either. I'm not a huge fan, but I don't hate the guy. I just am not super familiar with him.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I'm surprised he beat Robert Whittaker. Honestly, his style seems more of like a cardio kickboxer style with power. You know what I mean? He looks like he gasses out, but he maintains his pace. I do think he beat Sean Strickland, but I thought Sean Strickland loses to Izzy. So I don't know what happens on that if that fight were to occur. But I will say, I know Dana White is really feeling some sort of way towards DDP for turning down the fight. I know he's mentioned a lot of times that he doesn't like people who turn down fights, let alone championship fights. So,
and yeah, who else, dude? Someone else just turned down.
I think Merab, right?
Yes.
Merab, because of Aljamain.
Yep. Yeah. And then that let Sugar Sean hop in, right?
I think so, yeah. Or I think it's I think Merab should be next, but I think he's willing to sit out to have Aljo get an immediate rematch.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is the beauty of the UFC right here.
Yeah.
It really is, because you never know. Like, how many times watching UFC where you're just like, you do like the Joe Rogan, you're like, like, what?
If I'm the matchmaker, and if I'm going to take into account Dana being, you know, petty and wanting to save a couple bucks on the DDP fight, I'd probably have Sean Strickland versus DDP, you know. That wouldn't draw as much as an Izzy versus DDP. So
true.
DDP gets his championship fight, but not the payday that he should have gotten for turning down the fight. And I think the winner of that, actually, no, I say the winner of this fight fights Izzy for the interim title, and then you have Sean Strickland or DDP versus Izzy.
Paulo Costa and
Khamzat Chimaev. Bro, this is going to be a real good test of waters to see how good Khamzat really is, I feel like. How do you feel about Khamzat Chimaev so far?
Bro, everyone from that gym and that, like, the Nurmagomedovs, I don't know, man. They're built differently. Cosmo, he fought
Gilbert Burns.
Gilbert Burns, but he also fought, am I getting him confused? But didn't he fight Kevin Holland as well?
Yeah,
Kevin Holland took the fight on late notice. It was within 1 minute. Like, it was within the first minute or two, or first round. I'll just say first round, but it was quick.
Which, thank God, bro, because that was initially supposed to be Khamzat versus Nate Diaz.
Yes. Oh, dude.
Oh, man, I'm so glad we got Tony Ferguson versus Nate Diaz instead, for Nate Diaz's sake. But I thought, I don't know, man, I would have gave that fight to Gilbert Burns if I was a judge. I know it's 3 judges out of my decision, but if I was a judge on that panel, I would have gave the Khamzat Gilbert Burns fight to Gilbert. I know Paulo Costa hasn't been the best. He hasn't looked good since prior to Yoel Romero, I think. Yoel Romero, he looked good, and I mean, he brought the dog out of Yoel Romero, so I haven't really seen his grappling. I've seen him grapple against fucking Logan Paul or Jake Paul or whatever, so we'll see how he does against Khamzat. But like, I think this will be a good test for Khamzat, and if I'm really trying to test Israel Adesanya, I would have him fight for an interim title against the winner of this fight. But now that Sean Strickland is the champion, I feel like this opens up one last path, one last window for Robert Whittaker, baby.
I'm back.
What's up, Chef? Welcome back. So, like I said, I think Sean Strickland being the champion opens one more window for the Reaper to come back in and, retire with the belt. I think what Robert Whittaker beats Sean Strickland, that's a fight that would probably happen if the planets align and if DDP gets fucking injured, you know what I mean? And whoever else is up next gets injured or gets sick as well or gets COVID, and then fucking Robert Whittaker gets flown in to fight, which I know he'll be ready for to step in if those variables align. But for him, I would be really hungry if I was Robert Whittaker. For me, I'd be looking at a retirement fight for the belt. What do you think? Are you a Robert Whittaker fan?
I do like Robert Whittaker. I think he's a good stand-up dude.
Mm-hmm.
But are you saying like a retirement for Robert Whittaker?
I'd say if I'm Robert Whittaker, if I'm Robert Whittaker, I'd be like, Dana, let me get one more title fight, retirement fight, win or lose.
I agree.
If I lose, I'm out. If I win, fucking let me fight one more time, or I might even retire if I win. You know what I mean?
I agree 1,000%. He's been in the top 5 or 10 for the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's got heart. I think he's a good person. And I try to obviously, as you've heard from me tonight, I have a hard time. If you're a shitty person and you're the greatest fighter in the world, I don't fucking like you.
Yeah.
it's just me. It's just me. But Robert Whittaker is a good fucking dude. He seems like a stand-up. I don't know him personally. He seems like a good stand-up dude. So hopefully, but I think you're right. I think that's a very, very good freaking possibility. Okay.
Yeah. You don't see Whittaker retiring soon? I don't know, man. Who else is left? Let's look at the rankings right now. So this is before the Sean Strickland fight. Fucking 6th. Dude, I mean, that's why you could argue the immediate rematch. He's kind of lapped 1 through 5. Right. Pereira, I mean, he beat Pereira once. Robert Whittaker once. I thought he's beaten these guys twice already for some reason.
Cannonier, though, I would like to see Cannonier in there. I like Cannonier.
Mm-hmm.
I do. Vettori, I mean, it is what it is. I think he's lost to Izzy. I want to see why.
He lost twice. Yeah, I think he was the one that was labbed. Okay. Man.
I'm gonna real quick unplug my mic or my webcam, unplug it right back in because I'm lagging balls. I'll be right back.
Yeah, handle. Gastelum versus Strickland. I think Gastelum is going down to fight Shavkat down in 170. I think he's trying to cut some weight and make one more run at 170. They're monsters up here in middleweight. I think Gastelum was already undersized in middleweight, but Pereira is gone, so he's obviously not 2. Dricus Duplessis is still number 1. So, yeah, I think Costa and Khamzat's not even ranked. That's crazy. So, for Khamzat to beat Paulo Costa and then get an interim title shot right away is nuts. So that's fucking crazy. Marvin Vettori, I mean, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I think Vettori should probably do like bare knuckle boxing or something. With all due respect, I don't know.
Dude, he slightly reminds me of I forgot the guy's name from the Goonies.
Oh, the Hey You Guys, dude.
Yeah, Hey You Guys. I don't know if that was a meme before. I do not give me any credit for that because I can almost guarantee you it was some sort of meme, but that shit cracks me up. I still think he's a good guy though, man. I think he's a good guy.
I saw this watch along with Vettori. He was watching the Izzy Strickland fight, and I think they were watching. It was his reaction after the first round when Strickland, scored the knockdown. Vettori was shook, and fucking when there's a long pause, he's like, "Fuck!" Like he had like this FOMO tone in his voice that he felt like he wished he had that opportunity in his 10 rounds with Izzy.
Yeah, but at the same time, too, like Marvin, again, going to what you were saying, he in his head, he's like, dude, I know I would mop up Sean Strickland. I'm not saying that's true, but when like, dude, I will fuck that dude up, and then you see the dude that you thought you would fuck up and the dude that you were not able to fuck up, you know what I mean? And
that's
like,
a mind fuck. Yeah,
it is, dude.
It's gotta bother you, bro.
Like, what am I doing wrong here? What do I gotta do? All right, I'm firing my coaches. I'm gonna join a new fucking training team, start a new camp. Oh, dude.
Oh man. So yeah, it's fucking. Now let's talk about this. Do you think Sean Strickland's gonna hold the belt for too long?
I want to say my emotions want to say fuck yeah, dude, he's gonna rock it for a while, but my brain is gonna say I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so. His fighting style is so weird. You talked about that in the beginning, where he's just like he's so square. It's very unique, right? It's very unique,
right?
And I think it worked against Izzy. Clearly, but I don't think that it's going to work for everybody. I think other people are going to be able to, especially maybe like possibly like a wrestler. Someone's going to shoot and take him down, because I don't think Izzy once tried to shoot at all. Like It was all stand and bang, which I appreciate. I really like those stand and bang fucking one-on-ones, but I guess it depends on who hops in there.
I think Khamzat runs him over as they fight.
Khamzat, I think that if Khamzat were to bang with him, just in all reality, I would say a round one. It'll be a round one fucking submission.
Yeah, very well could be. I think a Paulo Costa versus Sean Strickland would be entertaining.
I think that'd be good. I think that'd be good because I think a lot of that I would like to think would be like stand and bang.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that would be a very good test for him. But again, that's if Paulo Costa gets the next. I still think it's going to be DDP, but at the same time, if DDP, like, people cancel, people bail out, and again, it's up to the matchmakers, you know, at the end of the day on what is going to happen there. But I agree with you. I think Paulo Costa and him I think that'd be a badass fight.
Right. Man, crazy. Well, if you made money on the Sean Strickland line, kudos to you. I haven't hit an underdog as big as that since fucking Daniel Cormier beat Stipe Miocic. And was it 202 or 2? I forget which one, but it was the one in one where he knocked him out. I think it was in Anaheim. Crazy times.
DC knocked out
Stipe?
Yep, Stipe.
When he went up to heavyweight, I think it was his first time.
Yep. And yeah. Dude, Stipe compared to DC, dude, DC would kind of reminded me of the fight with Tai Tuivasa this weekend. Like Bam Bam, dude. Bam Bam, he's short and he's stocky.
Mm-hmm.
And then Alexander Volkov ends up fucking choking him out, bro, from the fucking I believe it was full guard on the ground.
He Ezekiel'd him, right? It was an Ezekiel choke.
Yeah, it was an Ezekiel choke, dude. I'm like, no way, dude. And fucking I love Tai Tuivasa, but I do like Volk as well. Not Volkanovski, but you know what I'm talking about.
Volkov, right? Yeah,
Volkov. But yeah, dude, what a banger. But yeah, what I'm getting at is like Stipe's not that tall. Mm-hmm. Compared to DC, but it's just like a short, stocky little muffin, dude. Little muffin that'll fuck your ass up. Still a muffin at the end of the day. Right.
So before we sign off, let's talk about Stipe, because Stipe is, I think it's lined up, right? It's signed, contract signed, and it's scheduled. Stipe versus John Jones.
Yes, from what I've seen, yes.
So
I think that's supposed to be UFC 295.
A lot of underdogs.
I got John Jones.
You got John Jones. It's hard to deny John Jones. He's been consistently winning, and no one's doubted him since the first Gustafsson fight. So,
but you know,
you didn't really see anything though. Like with the Cyril Gane fight, there's not enough sample to see how this Stipe fight would actually go, you know?
No, that's true. That's true, because Jones has been gone for a minute, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came back, Cyril Gane, and I don't even remember when. It was a KO or a TKO. I don't know. I don't remember which round it was in. I feel like it was within the first 2 or 3 rounds.
I think he choked him out in the first round real quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's true too. That is true too.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, Jones, but you never know, dude. Again, going back, bro, and we'll continue on this, but Strickland and fucking Izzy, bro. Like,
yeah,
who would have thunk? Set my feelings aside. My money was on Izzy all day on that. Not what I wanted, but if I was a betting man, it would be Izzy all day. So you never know, bro. You never know. That might be the next big old underdog come up.
You're right, dude, because even when the decision was being announced, I thought they would go with Izzy too, you know, because like we said, if it's rigged, I feel like it's more rigged during the decision. So since since Sean Strickland was kind of a last minute replacement fighter for DDP declining to fight, you know, why would they change the storyline that drastically?
Yep.
And why not go with Izzy? But crazy sport. So I also got John Jones. As much as I love Stipe, as much as I'm going for, I would like these old school champions. Well, it's crazy that they're old school now, but they were like around the time I was hot in the sport. Those are the people that were kind of owning their division. But I would like to see them retire at the top, you know? So I don't think that's going to happen against John Jones, though, bro. You know what I mean? Probably against Sean Strickland, but not John Jones. So
it's kind of like the zombie, right?
Shit, yeah.
The Korean zombie, man. That was emotional.
It was.
And he lost that fight. And then, fuck, I forgot the dude that just retired like a week or two or a month or two before that. But he was an OG too, and like people like, I'll just say this: I'm 33, so I'm when I was watching, right, like it was, I gave it a break for a while due to making poor decisions in my life, and then came back to it, and all these OGs, dude, like Nate Diaz was one of them, Nick and Nate Diaz. But yeah, it always makes me feel super happy when when the OGs come up, they fucking get that. It's usually not a championship fight, but they do win their last fight and they fucking put their gloves down, and it's a beautiful emotional moment. I think that these guys, a lot of them have busted their ass for so long.
Right.
As a fan, as a viewer, it's just very heartwarming to know that they gotta put their gloves down in that octagon for the last time, and they gotta put another W under their fucking name.
Yeah, definitely, man. I've never gone emotional towards a retirement, but that zombie one got me, man.
Right?
I don't know if it's because I was discombobulated being up at like 7:30 a.m. watching that fight, you know? I was caught off guard. But sheesh, that shit got me, bro. I was in my feels watching that shit.
Yeah, it was pretty emotional. And I wasn't even a huge like, I wasn't like fanboying over fucking the Korean zombie or whatever, but it was just the words that they're saying and like knowing all the hard work they put in,
right,
and the blood, sweat, and tears in and outside of that octagon, and the sacrifices these fighters make for their families. It's incredible, man. Incredible. Yeah. Hats off to the UFC. Let's go, baby.
Hell yeah. Well, there you have it. UFC middleweight recap. Sean Strickland versus Israel Adesanya. Got the chef, Kyle from the Sunday Night Secret Society podcast. It's your boy Jarizi. Find me at the Cave. All socials. You can get us on cave.com as well. K4V3.com. Chef, thanks for coming on, man. Catch you on the next one.
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure, man. Hopefully we'll link up soon. I want to get something going. I'm trying to get it might not happen with trebles this time, but I at least want to get you on Sunday night. We've been doing like group. I've been getting like hard hitters, dude, on a group setting on Sundays. So you, all your other co-hosts, I would love to have you guys on. We'll stay in touch off air.
Hell yeah.
But first and foremost, thank you so much for the invite, man. I greatly appreciate it. I'm blessed. Always a pleasure being on this fucking badass show on this badass platform, dude. StreamYard, you're doing a great job. I don't got to tell you that. You already know you're doing amazing. And let's fucking go, baby.
Let's do it. Fuck Monster. Peace out, guys.
All right, brother.